All right, on my way to an interesting job. Could be interesting, could be something simple, I don't know. It's a 2015 Dodge Ram that has a 5.7 Hemi, the 392 one, but he had pulled the motor out and he had the engine stroked, bigger cam, and he said some minor head work or whatever. And on top of that, he put a Whipple supercharger on it. The PCM is an aftermarket PCM or an unlocked PCM with a Diablo tune, and he said the problem still exists either with a stock tune or the uploaded tune. He's suspecting the PCM is bad. He's having an issue with map sensor. Keeps getting P0108, which is a circuit code. He put a 3-bar map sensor in it, same thing. Put the stock map sensor in it, still has the same thing. Could be something simple, I don't know, being that the engine was out. I don't know if there's any other connectors in that area that share the same connector as the map sensor. It's a circuit code. He believes it's the PCM, but he's not sure. Seems kind of basic. I just got to check my power, my 5-volt reference, my signal, and my ground. Everything goes to the PCM. The 5-volt and the ground do branch off to other sensors, but it's a circuit high code. I'm not expecting another sensor causing this issue, possibly a ground. I don't know what he checked. I don't care what he checked. Been down that road of believing customers. What like horsepower are you we're shooting for?
Right now, probably, since it's a stock transmission in there, so I think I'm probably limited around maybe like 600 something. Maybe I think I've seen guys push 7. And with the pulley it's on there now, it's the 4075 pulley, I think. So I'm probably going to be somewhere in the range of like 6 something to 700. Somewhere in that area.
What's the motor capable of?
Oh, the motor's, I mean, it's built to fucking handle probably over 25 PSI at least.
Very nice. Okay, here's the map sensor wiring. I'm into the signal here. And I'm hooked to battery ground. There's no change. The middle one is the ground. That's the ground, so I'll switch this over to, I got a ground, and last one is the power, which is 5-volt reference, and I do have a dim light. I haven't tested them, but it is dim. There's no change there. All right, setup. I got my U-scope hooked up, and I'm passing a signal through. I'm trying to identify which wire is which because I'm getting the information I'm getting on all data is different than what I'm seeing here, and it says that C2 is where the map signal goes, but if I go here, I have my signal. So as of now, disconnect it. As of now, it's looking like a PCM. But I need to check powers and grounds and load test everything, and that's where we are so far. Alright, I'm tapped in here. I have a lot of discrepancies with wiring colors. And what's going on here? Frozen. Not exactly sure what color this is, but it looks brown yellow to me, but all the wiring diagrams are showing different. I am hooked up to map sensor on there. If I disconnect the map sensor, like right now I have 1.58 volts, which is probably about right. And if I disconnect it, if I can, it goes up to 5 volts. Now I'll get back up if I can. There you go. So boom, goes right down. I checked all the powers and grounds. I had to put that on there so I could check the ASD relay circuit because it wouldn't work with the PCM disconnected. It does have a 5-volt reference and it has a good ground. I load tested everything. I don't see any bent pins. None of the pins are bent or anything like that. No water damage. This PCM, he said, before he did the motor, it ran fine. Before he did the motor. So, and he extended the wires for the map sensor. So that's why I was checking to make sure that he he wired it correctly. He didn't use, cut the wires for something else or hook them up backward, whatever. Calling the PCM on this. All right, there's a follow-up on the 2015 Dodge Ram. Just wasn't sitting right wiring diagrams. It didn't make sense to me. He claimed that he checked it a million times. It kept coming back. The wiring kept coming back as fuel pressure sensor. I couldn't find anything on all data specifically for the fuel pressure rail sensor. I didn't even know it had a fuel rail pressure sensor. I never really worked on any of these in any great detail. The only pressure sensor I kept finding was the fuel tank pressure sensor, and those colors were not adding up either. So I checked my snap on the component tester and everything, and I looked at the pinouts and everything. The pinouts are also saying that the wire colors that I have are for the fuel rail pressure sensor. It just says fuel pressure sensor on the diagram. So I actually went on YouTube, pretty much figured it out for me. I typed in fuel rail pressure sensor, or fuel pressure sensor. I just put fuel pressure sensor. One of the ones that came up on the video, it actually said fuel rail pressure sensor replacement. So now I was like, let me check that. So I watched it. You can see it was on the back of the engine on the driver's side, and if you looked at the connector, you pause it just right, I could see the colors, the same colors that I have. I looked up map sensor replacement just to see exactly where the map sensor was, and that's on the passenger side. I called him up. I'm like, dude, you have to take another look. He's like, there's no way that I hooked this up wrong. He's like, I disconnected it from the map sensor. When I rewired it, he extended it because he's got a Whipple supercharger on. So I was like, you have to just check it one more time. I gave him like another test to do. I said, maybe just leave it disconnected and see if you get, I forget the code number, but see if you get a fuel rail pressure sensor code. I don't know if he did that, but he called me back and he's like, dude, you're right. He's like, I thought you were crazy. He's like, I checked it a million times. It's like, but it was hooked up wrong. So he got it all sorted out and he got that fixed. And I said he got it running and everything. He's like, but it was running kind of crappy. And I said, well, did you put, it's got an aftermarket tune in it. I was like, did you put the new tune in? He's like, oh, I forgot to put that in. So I haven't heard back from him yet, but I'm really interested to see what this thing sounds like because it was really throwing me for a loop. It just wasn't sitting right with me. I was so ready to call PCM on this, and I think I say in the video, if the wiring is correct on the vehicle, then the PCM is bad. Luckily, it was just he wired it up wrong. No big deal. I want to hear what it sounds like in person. It's pretty nasty looking in a good way.